A warm welcome to Disky Talk with Luyolo. If you're tuning in for the very first time, I do ask that you please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you've been a part of this journey, I hope you thoroughly enjoy this episode. So, on today's episode, I discuss all things Dstv Premiership action as Stellenbosch take on Kaizer Chiefs. So, today's episode then is a tactical pre-match analysis. So when we have a look at it then, the blue team will represent Stellenbosch and then the red team will represent Kaizer Chiefs. So the last time out then, Stellenbosch did lose away 1-0 to Chipper United, and then Kaizer Chiefs lost 1-0 to SuperSport United at home. Coming up into this encounter, both teams will be looking to bounce back and ensure then that they're able then to pick up those 3 points and try finish as high as possible. So when you have a look at it then, Stellenbosch, represented by the blue side. Stellenbosch then under Steve Barker. In the beginning of the season, they were playing with a 3-4-3 formation. However, as of late, they have changed and they do then play with a 4-2-3-1. So they are, to a certain degree, tactically versatile and do look to adapt in relation to who the opponent is. So coming up into this encounter then, do see Sage Stevens starting in goals, and then as the back four. At left back, you do then have Van Heerden, and when you have a look at Van Heerden, then this is a left back who's got so much experience for this Stellenbosch side, and what then he offers the Stellenbosch side then is that quality from the wide area. So when you have a look at him then, he does occupy vertical zone 1, which is the left wide channel, and when you have a look at him then, he's got great technical ability with regards then to the crosses he plays. A lot of the times it is deep crosses and also offers that quality in possession as well. So Stellenbosch do look to build up from the back, and they have improved in that regard with regards to how then they look to keep possession, and Van Heerden on the left hand side and then Van Rooyen on the right hand side, they also become quite key in that with regards to how they look to progress it, especially when it's worked into those wide channels. And when you have a look at Van Heerden, a lot of the times he does enjoy a deeper pocket of space on the left hand side. So he isn't a fullback who's always going to bomb forward. When that space does open up, he will occupy that space, but a lot of the times it's a bit deeper on the left-hand side as opposed to then your wing back who'd be looking to reach the bar line, and also offers you then that qualitative superiority when it comes then to set pieces. So you're looking at direct set pieces, you're looking at corner kicks as well, and those deep free kicks as well. You would have Van Heerden on the left-hand side. When you have a look at the two centre-backs, you do then have Mtaba, who plays as the left-sided centre-back, and then you do have Dkhute, who plays as the right-sided centre-back, who has been wearing the captain's armband. When you have a look at these two then, they do complement each other very well, because then Mtaba is the quicker centre-back who does then look to cover, very comfortable on the ball with regards to progressing the ball. Dkhute is a lot more physically imposing and has then that aerial dominance. And then as a right-back, you do have Van Rooyen. With regards to Van Rooyen then, much like Van Heerden, he does then look to offer the width for the Stellenbosch side within opposition half, as he is then a player who is very quick and a player then who has grown with regards to how he looks then to play those creative passes, especially then when Stellenbosch do look to build up and they work that ball into the opposition half. At times, he does then become key with regards to delivering those crosses into the box. Because he is very quick, he does then look to go past, at times, the opposing fullbacks, as he does then become key with regards to offering the width for this Stellenbosch side in the wide right channel. And then, when you move on right along then and have a look at the midfield. So, you do have Umtetwa, who's been a revelation. Ever since then, he has signed for the Stellenbosch side. I think he's been doing very well within the heart of midfield, especially considering then how he looks to rotate the ball and ball circulation for this Stellenbosch side as well. And when you also consider then how he hardly loses the ball, you know, he's got a very, very high retention rate when it comes then to keeping the ball. A player then who's also very solid within the heart of midfield, who will duel and who will get stuck in. You do then have Jabbar alongside him within the heart of midfield. And when you have a look at these two, I think they complement each other very well within the heart of midfield. They do offer that base deep within the heart of midfield for this Stellenbosch side, as it does serve a dual purpose with regards to this base. So in possession of the ball and out of possession, because in possession, they're both very comfortable. They do look to rotate the ball very well. And with Jabbar, at times, he's the one who tends to have the more progressive pass, whereas Mthethwa is the one then who looks to circulate the ball. So whenever then those advanced players and those creative players for this Stellenbosch side can't look to penetrate, they do look to start play and go back to their deep laying midfielders, as they do play as a pair within the heart of midfield as a double pivot. And then when you do have a look on the right hand side, you do have Ortiz. And when you have a look at Ortiz, this is a player then who is new to the Dstv Premiership. However, he does have a couple of goals and he has an assist as well. So he is very strong, as he is physically imposing, and he's very creative as well. And he also has an eye for goal. And then when you have a look at it, on the left-hand side, they do start with Preez. So when you have a look at Preez, this has been Stellenbosch's best player this season, in my opinion, especially considering then the amount of goals he scored for this Stellenbosch side and the assists he's provided. So this is a player last season who was missing a lot of chances, but we all saw that he had the potential with regards to his speed and his technical ability. And when you also have a look at it then with regards to his skill set from a technical perspective, he also does take set pieces for this Stellenbosch side. He does take corners, and he's also then been able to play some of those lovely penetrative passes and those crosses as well. So as much as he's a very quick player who scores goals, but he's also very comfortable on the ball with regards to ensuring then that he is able then to play that quality final ball. So this is a danger man for this Stellenbosch side. And what's going to be interesting then is seeing his duel against Njabulo Blom, especially considering that Preez would start on the left-hand side. However, with regards then to Van Heerden and Van Rooyen looking then to occupy and give the width for this Stellenbosch side with regards to the pockets of space that they occupy within their respective wide zones, Preez does tend to come in a lot more, and he would then sort of take up that inside forward role within that half space, where then he's looking then to be a lot more focused on the goals. And then up front, you do have Judas Msiamedi. So when you have a look at Judas Msiamedi, this is a player then who is a very, very strong target man, and a player then who is well adept with regards to offering that aerial threat and scoring those goals as well. We also do know that Judas Msiamedi loves to play against Kaizer Chiefs. And then you also then have as the more advanced midfielder, you do have Adams in there. So with Adams then, he is a lot more creative with regards to the pockets of space that he looks to occupy. So you will see him then popping up into the left side at half space, at times the right side at half space. He is a very creative player with regards to the positional superiority he looks to offer this Stellenbosch side, how he looks then to position himself in between the lines and look to take the ball. So with Stellenbosch, a lot of the times when they do find themselves in the opposition half, this is the shape that they do tend to take up. This is the offensive scheme that they do look to take up, which then does allow Preez to come into that half space within that inside forward role, does allow Ortiz as well, and then you'd have Van Heerden, and then you'd have Preez there as well. Within the heart of midfield, the solid base of Mthethwa and Jabbar, and then you do have Adams in there, who does tend to drift into different pockets of space with regards to how he's looking for the ball, and at times does have those penetrative passes, which then he's looking to break opposition lines. Also then off the bench, when you have a look at this Stellenbosch side, they do have Dingba, who is a player then who is very quick and very skillful, has an eye for goal, and does tend to play on the right-hand side of attack. They also do have Mendieta as well, who is then their playmaker. So this Stellenbosch side has quite a number of options off the bench, and I wouldn't be surprised then to see Dingba or Mendieta actually coming back into this lineup and looking then to trouble this Kaizer Chiefs side. Because with that Stellenbosch side, the beauty then is that you could have a fluid front three. Instead of going with your traditional number 9, who is then Judas Msiamedi, you could always then go with Ortiz up front, you go to Preez off the left, and then you go with Dingba off the right, and then you've got a very fluid front three. And you could also then, if you want to, you could have Dupree coming off through the center. Then you could have Mendieta coming off the left. Then you could have Dingba. That is also then a fluid front three, where then you'd have Mendieta dropping in a lot deeper. Or you could even then keep the front three of Ortiz, Dupree, and Dingba, and then start Mendieta as a 10, where then he does have the solid cover and base of Umthetwa and Jabbar. So when you look at the Stellenbosch side, they've got so many options, and they've got quality players within various departments then who could always add value, who could either come off the bench or start the game. And they do look to penetrate from the wide channels and look to bring that ball into the box. When you have a look at them then, they are a side then that has been doing very well this season within the Dstv Premiership. However, they did lose the last time out. So in this game, they will be looking to bounce back. So that is Stellenbosch with regards to how they look to approach the game. So they do then play with a 4-2-3-1. The offensive scheme then does then look to take up this shape. So that is Stellenbosch under Steve Barker with regards to how they'll be looking to impose themselves in this encounter. A key player then will be Dupree with regards to how then he's looking to get those goals and create those chances. And his duel against Njabulo Blom on the left-hand side for him, and then the right-hand side for Njabulo Blom. And then moving on then right along, it's time then that we have a look at Kaizer Chiefs. So when you have a look at Kaizer Chiefs then, yeah, a lot of interesting things have been going on at Kaizer Chiefs. And with the fans back, we did see that pressure has been applied then on Stuart Baxter, with the fans then chanting at the final whistle that Stuart Baxter must go. So it is very clear then that there is pressure, and that the fans aren't happy with how Kaizer Chiefs have been playing with regards to the personalities and how they've been looking to impose themselves. But let's have a look at those personalities then. So the last time out, they did start with Brandon Peterson in goal. So this is a keeper then who has been doing very well, in my opinion, for Kaizer Chiefs, and a player then who is really growing within that position, and a player then who I think long-term will be Kaizer Chiefs #1. And then when you have a look at the back four, they did start with Njabulo Blom at right back. When you have a look at Njabulo Blom, this is a player then who is very, very solid in those 1v1 defensive situations. So it's going to be very interesting, especially considering then that a lot of the times he would be coming up against Dupree. So I think then this is the battle of the fixture, you know, especially then when you look at it from a personalities perspective. A very quick Dupree coming up against a very defensive and very solid Njabulo Blom. And when you have a look at Njabulo Blom, this is a player who does tend to offer the width for Kaizer Chiefs on the right-hand side within vertical zone 5, with regards then to how he looks to overlap and look then to bring those balls into the box. We do know that he does have a couple of assists, and this is a player then who has been growing in stature and has been one of the best players for Kaizer Chiefs this season. So you do have Njabulo Blom then starting as the right back. And then as the two centre backs, the last time out, they did start with Ungezane, and then they started with Ramashwe Mpahlele. So what becomes very interesting then with regards to this centre back pairing is that that goal that they conceded, you know, they were very stretched, and Rama then couldn't cut out that cross, and they went on then to concede that goal. Now, when you look at Kaizer Chiefs and you look at the centre-back department, I think this is a department that Kaizer Chiefs have been struggling in for so many years. And when you have a look at it then, in the transfer window, they did bring in Udube, and they brought in Njabulo Blom, who was then defender of the season last season at Swallows. However, what's very interesting then is that Njabulo Blom and Austin Tabani Dube have not played together as a pair at the heart of defense for Kaizer Chiefs. Instead, we've seen so many different combinations and so many different pairs, and all the pairs that we've seen have been struggling with regards to ensuring that they're defensively solid for this Kaizer Chiefs side. And a commonality is that then they struggle with similar balls. So it is always then a vertical ball over the top in between the two, or it is a cross. However, whenever Thabani Dube has played for Kaizer Chiefs, he's been able to deal with those crosses, So it does make it quite interesting with regards then to how Stuart Baxter is how he approaches that selection with regards to his centre-back pairing, especially considering then that you do have defender of the season on the bench, and then you do have Thabani Dube, who's very, very good. And whenever he has played for Kaizer Chiefs, he's shown why then he can become a quality centre-back, and he can become a mainstay at centre-back for Kaizer Chiefs. And also considering then that he does allow you then that ball circulation and that natural progression with regards then to having a progressive first touch, because he is left-footed, so he would open up and look to progress the ball. So it's just been very interesting why Stuart Baxter has not tried that pair, especially considering then that Kaizer Chiefs keep having defensive problems. So that is a centre-back pairing I would like to see. But I doubt we will see it, because then most likely you will have Ngezane and then you will have Mpahlele. If not, you could potentially see Cardoso coming back into the lineup. And then at left back, they did then start with Reeve Frosler. With regards to Reeve Frosler then, he does look to offer that width. However, Reeve Frosler then is naturally a right-footed player. As much as he is an ambipedal player, which is a player who's comfortable with both feet, however, he is predominantly right-footed. So a lot of the times then, whenever he does look to take a touch, it is a regressive touch, because a right-footed player who plays on the left-hand side is always looking to cut in, always looking to come on to his stronger foot. So that is Reeve Frosler, which can have pros and cons, because against Orlando Pirates, he did manage to cut in, had that shot where he had that beautiful goal. He has had a couple of shots at goal whenever he manages to cut in, but whenever then he's tasked to keep the width, at times he does tend to struggle with regards then to getting those passes first time off, but he does then start as the left back. Also very interesting that there is also Mabili, so who hasn't really gotten a chance throughout the season. Also another young quality left back who one would think that he would get a chance. However, Reeve Frosler does start, and you will be key then with regards to offering width for this Kaizer Chiefs side on the left-hand side within vertical zone 1, whenever then he is tasked to, and play progresses in such a way that he must open up on the left-hand side. When you move on right along then within the heart of midfield, you do have Cole Alexander. And when you have a look at Cole, they started with Cole Alexander, they started with Nange, and then they started with Bernard Parker. When you have a look at Cole Alexander, this is a player then who is still working his way back to full fitness, as we do know that he does come from an injury. And with Cole Alexander, I just think that he's been struggling within the heart of midfield. And it also then becomes mind-boggling with regards to the selection criteria with regards to Stuart Baxter, because you do have Bacchus, and whenever Bacchus has played for Kaizer Chiefs within the heart of midfield, he's offered them that control, he's also offered them that ball progression, and he's also circulated the ball and retained it very, very well. I do think that within Stuart Baxter's side, I do think that Bacchus is the best midfielder. And when you have a look at Bacchus, this is a player then who, after a couple of very good performances, he did return to the bench. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Stuart Baxter goes about it, because he does also favor the 3-4-3. So he might also be looking then to change formation. Also considering then that the other midfielder he did start with, Parker, is suspended for the next encounter by virtue of yellow card accumulation. He did get his 4th yellow card against Super Sport. So very interesting what he might do in the heart of midfield. But I do foresee Cole, I do foresee Nange, and this might very well then be an opportunity for Nkosi Ngcobo to start within the heart of midfield. If not, you could then have Cole, you could have Nange, and then you could have Bacchus. However, I'll be looking at a situation where you could have a double pivot of Nange and Bacchus, and then have Nkosi Ngcobo playing then as the number 10, because then this would be a great opportunity for him then to play in his favored position within the heart of midfield as a number 10, where then he could be looking to give you that qualitative and positional superiority with regards to how he looks to position himself in between the lines and take the ball on his back foot, and how then he moves in between the lines laterally, and the creativity and the penetration that he offers you from these central pockets of space. Also then how then he is a presence within zone 14, and how he looks to penetrate into the box and into the final third as well, as we do know that this is a player who's very creative, but he also has an eye for goal, and he does take shots from range as well. However, with Stuart Baxter, we could expect anything on the day. And then when you have a look at the front three, so Dolly did miss the game the last time out against SuperSport through suspension, but he will most likely return to the starting lineup. So you will have Dolly start off the right-hand side. You will have Kamabiliat, who I think had a very, very good performance against SuperSport United. And then you will have Nukovic. When you have a look at Nukovic, we do know that this was a player who was playing off the left-hand side in a role termed as a split striker. But as of late, we have seen him getting a lot more central with regards to his positioning, and I think that's where he's better suited. Whenever then he does manage to find himself within the box and he gets in a lot more central, he does then look to get those shots on target. However, whenever Nukovic does start on the left, yeah, it becomes very difficult for him because you find Nukovic drifting into these pockets of space where then he sort of becomes ineffective because he is strong, he is big, and he is also a very good finisher. So you want him in the box, and you'd rather have Kamabiliat then playing on the left-hand side wide, where then he can look to cut in and offer you that quality. So I think it's just better when Nukovic does play as the central striker, and he's a lot more focused on then ensuring that he can impose himself against Mkaba and against Tukhute, and ensuring then that he is a presence within the box, because this Kaizer Chiefs side, they do create chances. And then when you have a look at the right-hand side, you do have Keegan Dolly. With Keegan Dolly, he does look to give you then that positional and qualitative superiority with regards to how he looks to drift into that half space and how then he looks to take the ball. And this is a player then who has so much quality within that left foot, so within open play. And we did see that he did score a free kick against Chippa United. Also, the relationship that he does enjoy with Njabulo Blom on the right-hand side. So sometimes Dolly would be wide, and then Blom would come into the half space and invert, and vice versa. However, a lot of the times Dolly would be the one to occupy the right-sided half space. So that's what you would see from Kaizer Chiefs. But considering then that this Stellenbosch side have improved in recent weeks with regards to how they look to keep the ball and how they look to build up, I do see them having the lion's share of possession. However, I also do foresee Kaizer Chiefs looking to press them as well, because at times Kaizer Chiefs have pressed really well. And when you also consider that Stellenbosch will have a three-man midfield, they could then be looking then to block those passing channels into the midfield. So ensuring that Stellenbosch can't build up. And also when you have a look at Stellenbosch, they could also look to press this Kaizer Chiefs side. So this could be an encounter then that has a lot of intensity with regards to the high press, with regards then to how they're looking to close each other down within the heart of midfield. When you have a look at Kaizer Chiefs then off the bench, they do have a Sabelo Khatebe, they do have Sekhota, they do have Castro as well. However, I do think that Kamabiliat will be a key player within this game, as this is a player then who has been doing very well and has dished out very good performances in recent weeks for this Kaizer Chiefs side. So it is then very interesting then when you do have a look at Stellenbosch, their key player will be Ashley du Preez. When you have a look at Kaizer Chiefs, we are looking at Kamabiliat, and the battle of the game will be du Preez versus Blom on the left-hand side for du Preez, and then the right-hand side for Blom, provided that du Preez does start on the left-hand side. Ladies and gentlemen, do let me know, what do you make of this encounter? Who do you think are the key players coming up into this encounter for Stellenbosch and Kaizer Chiefs respectively? However, I foresee this one ending in a 1-1 draw. Thank you very much for tuning in to yet another special episode of Disky Talk with Luyolo. If you do enjoy this content, please do subscribe and hit that notification bell and hit that like button. Signing out.